It turns out all you do is turn the levels up.
The levels up. All right, well, it technically is 4. So, are you taking seats?
And then when Noah's talking, you turn it down.
So,
right.
I don't know if you've noticed this, Noah. You're 3 really tall. We're not.
That's not why I'm sitting.
So that's why I'm standing right here.
Robert's up here,
I'm
like...
here to wreck the show.
Robert's up here, like, with his I don't even know, whatever that cup is. Like a dad at a soccer game. Like...
I'm from the Upland South. Come on now.
Soccer dads are a respectable vocation.
Yeah. So, Alon, you are, like, one of the OGs of this panel. So I'm going to let you kind of take it, but obviously the way that we do panels is we figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
Is that the best way to say it?
No. This is well planned and rehearsed.
Yeah, we actually, right before this, practiced this panel, including your questions. So just know that your questions, we already thought of them. Mm-hmm. And we did it, and nothing is new. Everything is copied. So first of all, hello, everybody, and welcome in to Unlock Your Inner Performer. Woo!
Noah, as a lawyer, shouldn't you not say everything is copied?
No. It means that I have a job. Fair enough. So, Unlock Your Inner Performer. If you were not here for Unlock Your Inner Performer, you are now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, welcome in. We also have another panelist. Are you getting on the stage too?
Well, you're the moderator,
Get
and I didn't want to upstage your...
You're the co-moderator.
Oh, okay. In that case, I'll be half on stage, half on it.
Yeah. So, just ride that line. Man, can you tell we're all like people that like have worked in theater that are desperate for other people's attention? So we have another panelist that's coming. He is running very late though because he left the harbor for lunch, and the Uber out. I'm going to give them the full story. The Uber out was 10 minutes.
Wait, can you act it out?
Yeah. So this is my impression of McLaffy Taffy getting lunch. Promise we'll get to substantive content in a second. First day of MAGFest, got to get it out. Hi, I'm McLaffy Taffy. I want to go get some lunch. That sounds really good. That's HC Justin. That's our other friend. Let's go outside the harbor. Well, we have a car. Why don't we drive there? No, let's get an Uber. That's a great idea. It's like cheap, right? Because money. And so they get to lunch. It's fine. Takes them 10 minutes. It's like a $20 Uber. They're like, this is great. Nom, 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 nom. They eat all the food. It's wonderful. 30 minutes to go.
Wait. Huh? You showed them eating food. Did they drink anything?
No, they didn't drink anything.
Oh,
they're gonna be
That's
parched.
not true.
This
They-
is your
they probably
hydrate
drank a
check,
little bit.
actually.
So they leave 30 minutes to get back, and I promise we're just waiting for the last people to get in. No worries. We leave 30 minutes for them to get back, and they say, okay, 30 minutes left. We'll make it to Unlock Your Inner Performer on time. Taffy's got a panel. They call an Uber and says, Uber will get there in 20 minutes for $100. And I get a phone call from Taffy saying, hey, man.
That chirp.
Hey, Taffy, are you on your way to Unlock Your Inner Performer? No, man. I'm not going to be there on time. I'm going to be there a little bit late. The Uber's $100. I tried Lyft. It's $102. Both take 20 minutes to get here, and then it's a 20-minute drive. What the fuck, Taffy? Hang up. So they're going to be late, but as soon as Taffy gets here, you'll notice him. He's the guy that's going to walk in like shaking like a leaf a little bit. He's going to have his hands in his pockets.
Shame.
Walking like this.
Shame. We need everyone all at once when he comes in. Shame.
Let's go ahead, practice. Okay, this half has it. This half thinks I'm crazy. So, all right, but without further ado, we are here for You know what? I'm going to get on stage too. Dang it.
Fall to peer pressure.
They've been planning this.
Yeah.
Come on, won't you slide over here in the comfy seat?
Lean, sit, lie down.
Well, welcome to Unlock Your Inner Performer. This is a panel teaching you how to unlock your inner performer, talk about how you can be a better performer for any of your stuff. We have amazing panelists up here. We're going to talk about, all the topics you want to hear. A lot of us have mainly tabletop experience, talking about actual plays and stuff like that. However, a lot of us also have theater and film experience. And so that is what we're here to talk to you about. Also improv. Improv's fun. So without further ado, I'm going to let the panelists introduce themselves, starting with the lawnmower.
Hey, my name's Alon. I am the Dungeon Meowster. I am a professional game master who performs at conventions all up and down the southeast coast, specifically. Anything outside of that, I say no before. I am the co-owner of Goblins and Growlers. I have a couple of different podcasts. I have a publishing arm now. I don't know. There's a lot of things.
You got a network that your podcasts are on?
I've got a network that my podcasts are on that you are also on. Oh, co-promotion. That's great. That's good news. No, lots of good things. I'm a mostly improv trained performer. A lot of what I'm going to be talking about comes from that lens. But I think one of the key pieces here that Noah was going to inform you before this, but that I think is really important. We're all professional performers. But one of the key pieces on this panel is that getting up and performing in any level, whether it's professionally or just like in front of your friends or work or whatever, is really difficult. Public speaking is the #1 fear, as noted by science and data.
Science.
Which we believe. We believe? Do we believe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we believe. And
Okay.
so hopefully we can give you guys some strategies for the tacticians of you, or maybe some other things that just make it a little easier. So that's really important. Thank you.
And if we can't give you strategies, hopefully we're entertaining.
Yeah, the strategy might be just be as dumb as possible.
And
Really
next
good
we
strategy.
have the amazing, the illustrious, the storied Sam.
I've never been called that before. Thank you. Wow. Stop. I'm shy.
No, keep going.
Keep going.
All right.
I love this audience.
I do too. Y'all are stellar. I'm Sam. I am a producer over at the nonprofit Wounded Warrior Project for a lot of TTRPGs and D&D, as well as a performer in a lot of these guys' shows.
Yeah.
I'm intimidated.
Soon to be in one of a
Whatever
launch
I
show.
say can and will be used against me in the next episode. But yeah, no, I actually hit the ground running in 2020 thanks to Noah doing a little offline campaign, and now he's like, "Hey Sam, can I book you for this?" And I'm like, "No, I'm too busy now."
Yep.
So it's been great. And did I say I stream?
Yeah, no,
I
you
stream.
didn't yet.
I Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the thing.
In person and online.
You're a Twitch partner and Twitch ambassador.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
To Pardassador.
Yeah.
So I love it here. Yeah, that's Gabe loves me. He just said. I heard it loud.
Yep.
Let me introduce Gabe.
No.
What a good segue. Hey, Gabe, who are you?
Everybody.
Oh God, this is gonna be a long weekend, huh?
Yes.
I'm Gabe Hicks. I am a voice actor, entertainer, and game designer. I have DM'd for Dimension 20. I do a lot of stage shows. I did 3 stage shows for Wizards of the Coast last year, like Gen Con and PAX Unplugged. You also might know that weird, annoying audio that's all over TikTok about putting a nail in a hole.
The square
That's
hole.
you?
Is that an actual question?
Like, actually?
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is they're vampires. It's a whole weird thing. Wow, but so I've done a lot of tabletop performance stuff, both as a player and a GM. And I spent a lot of time in the woods.
I thought you just said I smell a lot
A
of time.
place,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the
place
woods.
where a lot of nails go in holes.
That's
Yeah.
looks. Nope, never mind. Robert.
Wow. And here's Robert.
I'm Captain Robert, and you may know me from one TikTok that I have. It's my only TikTok, where I make a chicken parm sandwich by taking a Chick-fil-A filet and putting it between 2 deep dish slices of pizza and putting marinara on it. There's good comments on it, mostly telling me that I sound like John Goodman and that I'm going to die very shortly after eating of it, and all of that is true. I was a 15-year tavern owner in my hometown, living in a lovely small college town until COVID hit, and I decided I'm going to have to get some other job because this isn't going to work. So I took my basement game in my tavern. I know, basement tavern game. We lived the dream. It was awesome. Yeah. We took that, we put it on the internet. I'm a former Mixer Survive E, transitioned back over to
Mixer.
Twitch. Let's go.
Nice.
I didn't know many things about you. I'm discovering. like you like a tavern like where.
Yeah, real tavern.
Are you good at making drinks?
150 seats.
We're gonna have
64 taps.
Is he good at making?
I also here's your fun fact. I opened up my first nightclub on my 20th birthday in my brother's name.
When you say first,
Yes, I've owned 3 bars.
oh my God.
I was living a lovely, comfortable life until I had to go on the
Captain
internet.
Robert is the most interesting man in the world.
Yes, and I've unironically worn this hat for almost 2 decades. Long story for a different panel. But yes, I do have boats. But yeah, I play.
Nobody asked, Robert.
You knew the questions before they were asked. You really know. I know what everyone out there.
Yeah,
I
what's
know,
your
it's a
what's your
real hat.
thinking? How did we get here? How did Hagrid transform into this? And it's true. I do get to take pictures at Universal Studios with other people's children because they actually think that I'm Hagrid. It's an awkward experience, but somebody's got to do it.
Vacation Hagrid.
But yeah, I get to play APs on the internet for a living, and it's a dream. It's awesome. It's super cool. I'm a lifetime storyteller, so it comes easy to me. Now there's just a bunch of suckers that come by and watch me on the internet, and I don't get to give them a beverage in return, which is a very odd feeling for me. But I love it because at the core base of it, I ran a 3rd place for people, and now I get to do that online. And that's super special to me, where we get to come together and experience the highs and lows of life, all the good trauma and the lovely meaty bits. So
I love that you called it good trauma. I'm
Yeah.
still suffering. Thank you.
Yeah.
Every day.
I did try to ship beverages to fans once, and I'll tell you, Canada is the bad news. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the one. Yeah.
Ironically, they need a lot of drinks. So.
Robert, you're projecting like me, so move that mic a little.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, some of us have softer voices. We can't
Right.
all be like you and the greatness of vocal.
Yeah, Noah, take over.
Yeah. Hi everybody. My name's Noah. I'm a lawyer, but I'm a cool lawyer. So.
Everyone laughed. Everyone laughed. They all were like,
I got it.
That's not possible.
I'm a lawyer that represents content creators and game designers and game publishers and everything in between. If you're familiar at all with D&D, I was heavily involved in the OGL controversy on the good side, the non-Wizards of the Coast side. Last year during this conference, or this festival, as we say. In addition to all that, I'm a Shakespearean trained actor. I went to school for theater, and I went to school for improv and Shakespeare, which you're like, wait a second, hold on.
Yeah, I don't
Those
know
are 2 different things. Not anymore. They met at me. I'm that Venn diagram center.
just like Robert answered that question before you asked
Yeah.
it, that his hat was a real hat.
Yeah.
Yes, Shakespearean trained. He was trained by Shakespeare.
By Shakespeare.
Yes.
My great
Resolved. Everyone asked
uncle.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ed Shakespeare.
Yeah, and Shakespeare. Ed Shakespeare, yeah.
That's wild.
So, so that's what I did. I ran the Richmond Shakespeare Festival for 20 years, and I've been doing a lot of voice acting. More recently, I run the Forgotten Paths podcast, which is an
What's
actual
that?
play. It's an actual play.
Wow.
Available wherever podcasts are downloaded. You should all download it right now, please. Forgotten Paths.
A call to action.
Yeah. So, but now we have a panel for you. Right? That's what we're doing?
Wait, is that where we're at now?
Who
Yeah.
wooed? Thank you.
Yeah.
That was so nice.
Thank you for the booze. Alon.
I'm just stoked that this guy was like, now that we're at the panel,
Fuck that.
I'm just here for the no,
So,
it's all good. This is good judging character.
hey, Alon.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about what you want to say in this panel, because you've moderated in the past.
I wrote this.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, okay, so the key here, and this is a little bit of us telling you some of the tips and tricks of the trade that we do whenever we're going to be getting in front of people to perform, whatever that looks like, whether that's stream and digital online or whether that's on stage and in person. There's lots of different ways to kind of prepare yourself and lots of different mediums, but the good news is that they all kind of come from a lot of the same backgrounds as far as theater and stuff goes, but everybody has different ways that they prepare. We're hoping to give you some of them tips and tricks, and then we could probably talk about being on stage for forever, but the goal here really is to get to some Q&A where you guys can ask about specific situations that you're dealing with as far as how do I get over X, Y, Z, how do I prepare in this way, and hopefully we're able to give you some ways to get out there, do the thing that you've been wanting to do, or do it better if you want to do it better, or do it worse if you want to do it worse. We probably have tons of advice for that too, probably more than the others. Yeah. So we're going to just do a quick start with as far as before you get on we're gonna say stage, but this is the proverbial whatever platform you're on. Before you get on stage, what are you doing? What are you doing ahead of time to prepare yourself?
So I'll kick that one off. So whenever I get ready to perform, first of all, I make sure that I know exactly when and where I'm going to perform, which sounds like a no-brainer, but make sure you know what you're doing, by the way. So, like, for example, if I'm streaming on Twitch, I'm like, okay, I got to make sure my OBS setup's ready to go. If I'm recording AP, I hop onto Zencaster, make sure all my audio's checked, all that stuff. If I'm hopping on stage, I figure out where the venue is, because that helps if you're going to be on stage. That's really important. But after I do all that, my number one thing is to prepare your instrument, which is taking care of warm-ups. That is making sure you know exactly what you're doing and preparing exactly how you're going to be vocalizing. So if you're doing voiceover work, what I like to do is do a vocal warm-up in the style of whatever character I'm going to be portraying that day. If I'm doing physical, stage combat, I need to make sure I run through it, do a fight call, that kind of stuff. If I'm going to court, that's fine. We don't need to hear about that. Yeah, that's how I warm up.
Yeah.
If I'm going to court, I picture the other attorney in my mind's eye and just beating him. And take that how you will,
like,
whether it's...
as in winning, not physical.
No, I meant physical.
Yeah.
I meant
I have
physical.
to say this for legal sake. My lawyer would tell me to, so
Yeah.
I'm telling my lawyer.
I'm committing thought crimes all the time.
All the time.
No matter what anybody says up here on the panel, it's all up to you and what your strengths are.
Yeah.
You need to be brutally honest with yourself and find out, what am I good at? And if you're not a good self-evaluator, find a friend who is and sit down and go, okay, what is it that I excel at? And at the bottom line, if you're just not good at something, getting 10% better at that thing doesn't matter. You just need to lean into your strengths, and those will outshine your weaknesses. It is acting as if. We all have weaknesses and strengths. The performers are just really, really good at hiding them and working around them. So if you sit down and you're a great improver, don't try to be the next creative writer. You're just going to waste your time. Lean into your strengths and make index cards. Do stuff that you're able to pull off of and information. If you're a creative writer, lay it down, spend that time. But you have to figure out yourself first before you can perform at your best.
Wow, that was awesome. And the panel's over, guys.
There is a difference in doing something for fun and doing something for a performance.
Yeah.
And doing something for a performance can be fun, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be. And when you're doing something for a performance, one of the most important things for me is to consider, are people supposed to get something out of this? Like, are they supposed to feel excited about the ending, or is it supposed to be scary, or is it supposed to be comical? And how do I do that along with the other people that are there, and like trying to reinforce that? If I'm going into a performance that is meant to be horror, and the idea is that we want people to leave feeling a little bit like there was something ominous going on, and I'm putting on a presentation that is mainly comedy, there was a disconnect in what we might have been trying to put out. And if there's a disconnect, it can make it harder to connect with whoever else you're performing with. Mm-hmm. Also, putting on the performance you actively want it to be. And it's very clear that when we go watch something, chances are we want to get something out of it. And that can just be entertainment or fun. It can be informative. Like all of you being here at the panel, there is some notion of what you wanted out of this. And it could be, I wanted something to do until I could go get food. Or it could be, I want to hear more about what it is to be a performer. And for us up here, what do we want you to leave with this? Like that, literally to that point. Like, what do we want to make sure you get out of this? Which is why part of the first thing we were saying. So like that is one of the most important things for me. Because if I don't know what that is, then I'm probably not going to have a direction to follow, which is okay. But if there's other people who are also relying on me to follow direction, I might derail them, and that's partially on me as a performer.
This is why I'm glad I went first, because it set them up to just crush me.
There's a lot of thought crimes against you going on.
Yeah, you can't fight that legally.
No.
Less eloquently, the way that I prepare for a session is, it might sound silly, but if you're somebody who likes to actually physically get into your character, I do my makeup. I sit there and I rewatch the last session if I am so lucky to have had something recorded, so that I can figure out where I left off. And then it also helps me get into character of how I was performing emotionally toward the end of that, so I'm prepared for at the beginning of it. And then, yeah, I just sit there and get ready. I put on my ears. I do my makeup the way that character would have it. And then I'm ready to go. But then I still ask my DM, hey, what did we do last session? Because I want to know how they wrote it down.
But that continuity is so important in setting
is.
tone, especially if you are in a scene or scenario that deserves that respect, where it's not a cold end where it's like, okay, hey, we're all headed back and everybody's taking a long rest for like 5 terms.
Yeah.
We can start, rest and refresh. We can start any tone that we want. But man, that last 15-minute recap to get yourself in the headspace so that it's like we're not in giggle mode from the jokes that we were telling like right before we went live, and we're still in that, because that, hey, it doesn't matter who you are. When you get your friends together in 2024 and beyond, you're just really excited about being around your friends. And there's this manic mode when you're all getting ready to perform.
Gobbling
And you're
energy.
like, okay,
They all
we've got
saw
to get
that.
in.
Yeah.
These people all just saw that before this panel.
Yeah. True.
And to kind of, and before Lon dives in there, just to kind of echo off and piggyback on that note is one of the things to kind of remember, especially if you are working in a recorded medium or something like that, where people could just like binge listen or binge watch your content. Your audience is either going to know what just happened in the last episode if they're watching like or listening straight through, or like on Forgotten Paths, what we do is we do like a last time on Forgotten Paths, that kind of thing. And so the audience is going to know. So your people need to know what is important, what is the highlights from the last session, from a previous session. Make sure, if you are the GM or if you're running the show, that you prepare your actors before you go in and say, hey, by the way, you might have forgotten this happened 20 episodes ago, which was 6 months ago in recorded time. But for our audience, it might be like last week. So you got to remember this beat and make sure, one, that you're taking notes, but in case you're not, I'm helping you there.
Yeah, we left off on a death once.
Oh,
For
yeah.
months.
Yeah, that's right.
It wasn't good.
Months.
It was
Robert.
not good.
Months.
Oh, that's your fault.
It was
I was there.
traumatic.
I was available. I was available.
Classic
I was
tabletop friction up here.
What about you, Alon?
I come from an improv background. Any of you who have seen any of my content, the Celebra D&D or Mad Libs Tabletop, a lot of what I do is audience controlled, audience provided. So for me, humor is the easiest. Actually, when you get to a certain level of improv, you start just improving very serious scenes because humor comes too easy and you try to force yourself to become better at things that you're weak against. But whenever I am setting myself up to be on stage or to perform, I'm usually taking a lot of time to make sure that my energy is right. I know there's a lot of different ways to do this. I know that sounds very and it should be. It's this. You just move in that energy through. I know that a lot of people do meditation and things like that to center themselves. I'm a big improv performer, so I'm a big Little Big fan, which not just the band. I'm a big Little Big fan in all ways. And I think that it's important to do exercises like that where you start really small and you try to be as small as possible. And then you get as big as you can and you make weird noises like, ah! Or whatever, so that then whatever noises you make on stage and whatever movements you make on stage don't seem as big, because you've extended the parameters that you've made. So I try to build for myself a bigger box so that my limbs won't hit Sam in the face, because I am conscious of that, of where the parameters of my box are. And anytime, I really highly recommend anytime you are doing any type of performance on any type of stage, anytime, is that you take a moment, just like everyone said, not only to goal set and visualize and run back everything, but also to make sure that you are in the flow of the energy, especially if you have stage fright beforehand. I'm one of those weirdos that has stage fright after, where it's I'll finish a performance and I'll be like, that was, oh my God, everything went wrong. But before it, I'm pretty loose. And if you are not somebody who's pretty loose, then doubly do some warm-ups. Vocal warm-ups also. And then remember also, for all these skills, they're skills. 10,000 hours, all that jazz like this, you're going to get better as you keep doing it. Even if you start bad, I think it's great to know your strengths, but at the same time, even if you end up in a place where you're kind of playing to your weaknesses, you're going to beat yourself up more than anybody else is.
Yeah.
I think a great intro into should I be doing voices or should I not be
I was just
doing
gonna comment
voices
about voices.
and accents. I tell everybody in our groups the first time, if you're working on a voice or a character, work on the attenuation of that character. If you cannot represent the range of emotions from beginning to end, you're going to be a one-sided character that's going to break the immersion of whatever the scene is and the rest of your scene partners. So focus on the little stuff first. Like, you don't have to go down that road of like, man, I have got to be Matt Mercer tomorrow on these voices. It comes over time. You're going to work on it, and maybe it's just not your strength, and that's okay.
It's okay.
That does not matter. The most we want out of our scene partners is to hear that, the afflection and making the moments matter when they do. If that's in their own voice, that's okay. It's not breaking anyone else's immersion. They're still there for you. And if you're in a great group, they're there to gas you up. They're going to pump you up on whatever you bring.
Mm-hmm. They're going to bring that gas bill through the roof.
Yeah, and kind of on that note, even if you are skilled in this, if this is something that you do very well, if you are a talented vocal artist and you have a wide range of dialects that you can spin through, you will have off days. I was recording with McLaffy Taffy, the panelist that's not here yet.
He's
Shame.
right.
Shame.
McLaffy Taffy.
I was. Is he? Oh, okay. I was about to say, did he come in the side door?
He's like, no, what the hell?
But so I was recording with Taffy for a particular podcast on Sunday, an episode we were doing, and I had to slip from two of my best dialects, a classic like chirpy Southern accent to a classic New Yorker accent, and I could not do it. Like in the moment, I had to. I had like a minute in between the two playing the two characters, and I had to pause the recording, and I said, "Taffy, feed me a New York dialect," and he was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm off today," and so. Partially that was because I didn't warm up beforehand. I kind of went into it directly from Spider-Man 2. But the second part of that was because sometimes you're just going to have an off day. And part of being a performer in this industry or in any industry, wherever you're performing, is accepting, hey, I'm going to give my best even if my best is not my all-time best. And that's something that self-acceptance is really important because it allows you to grow from those moments. I learned something from that. I learned that, hey, if I'm not feeling it, I need to steer it in a different direction. And that's going to help me going forward. So don't be afraid of those moments because you'll always learn from them.
Yeah, rule of improv is if you are feeling off, channel that energy that you're feeling and start to tap into something that's very authentic because audience starts to gravitate towards authenticism. So, if that New York accent just isn't landing for you, you can be like, hey, I'm walking here. Oh, this is my New York accent that everyone from New York uses. And just lean in. Audience is like, okay, obviously this is...
one of our friends from New York is in the front row.
Now a bit, yeah.
It's accurate, right?
How is my New York accent? It was kind of Christopher Walken. Hey, I'm Christopher Walken here. Your father's watch.
And it's okay. Sometimes performance and things just turn out to be a meme.
Yeah.
I'm from the Upland South, and eventually all villains come back to being an evil Colonel Sanders from my past. Just lean into it.
Actually, that's a really good point to kind of segue is when you're performing in terms of what's in your toolbox and knowing what's in your toolbox and knowing what you're really good at. Kind of what Robert talked about earlier, but tying it back in. Know what you have. Draw from what you know. And while you can learn new things, you can learn new dialects, you can become Matt Mercer. I believe in you. I do, actually.
I want to debate that. I want to debate that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't be Matt Mercer. Be yourself. That is
Yes,
the best
agreed.
version of you.
100% agreed.
If you are trying to be someone else, you will never be uniquely yourself.
Exactly.
You will be an imitation. And you don't want your brand to be an imitation.
That's right.
You want your brand and your performance to be, wow, Noah did an amazing performance.
Thank you.
Than Noah did an amazing performance that makes me think of Matt Mercer.
I 100% I'm not debating you. I agree with that. We're on the same page.
I should have said challenge. That's a better.
Yeah. But yeah, but you should always try and be like Brendan Lee Mulligan, though.
No, I'm saying directly. All you did was name 2 white men.
I know. You should always be like Gabe Hicks.
No, don't be like
Critical
me.
Bard?
Be better than me. I don't use people as your standard for what you can become.
Yeah.
Use people as a representation of what you can achieve.
Yeah.
Stop mentioning people.
Okay. What about Taffy? Is he still on the table?
I just met him, and he's a white man.
I've been skewered over here. I'm going to put the mic.
Noah, keep going, Noah.
Finish the thought.
This is gold.
But what I'm saying is find your toolbox and use what you know, because it's going to make you better. It's what's unique about you. And as you build out your brand and as you're building up who your character can be, what you can bring to the table, what's in your toolbox is uniquely yours. And lean into it. Like, you can always add tools. That's absolutely fine. But lean into what you've got. So for me, I come from Richmond, Virginia. I've got 12 different Southern accents. I've got 4 New York accents. I trained in Shakespeare, so I can do iambic pentameter on a dime. And that's what I'm good at. What I'm not good at is coming up with like certain dialects on the fly that I'm not going to name because I'm really bad at them. And Alon will just ask me to do them. And I'm not good, honestly, at writing things that I don't know. And so I write through my lived experience and things that I find cool. And so find out what is yours and add that to your own toolbox.
Laffy Taffy. Oh,
That's not Taffy.
Laffy Taffy. Yeah, come on, you're right here.
Woo! Welcome.
You're Laffy Taffy now.
Yeah, that works. That works.
Another thing that can be in your toolbox is something that I experienced recently. I lost my voice, and I do a lot of shows a week, and so I utilized that voice as a part of my character. She could be sick. One of them worked out for Robert's campaign because I have a lower tone for her anyway, and I was like, sick, she sounds hot as hell right now. So that one worked out great. But I was also under the weather, and so I made her more relaxed, and the RP beats were really, really good because the conversations were more fluid with what I could handle at the time. So don't be intimidated by like, oh, I'm just gonna off my game today. Make it a part of your game. Make it a part of your character, because your characters are people. They go through things. So you can embody that emotion, and honestly, that comes to the making it more genuine, and people believe more of a genuine character. So don't be afraid to use that as your tool as well. Don't go get sick. I'm not saying go get sick. Please,
Yeah, don't get sick.
Take care of yourselves.
Don't harm yourself for your art.
Yeah. And honestly, if you're too sick, don't be like me.
snap!
Shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
He's back.
Shame. Shame.
He loves
Shame.
this. This is great.
Shame.
Basking in it.
Shame for the shameless.
Your booze mean nothing. I've seen what it's
Hey everybody, this is McLaffy Taffy. Ryan McLaffy Taffy Caps is a Twitch partner and classically trained actor. What would you say? You toured.
I'm a Twitch partner and a failed actor.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you roll with that.
I was late to a lot of auditions too.
Oh, no.
So what we're talking right now, Taffy, is about like having stuff in your toolbox and building out your toolbox and how that can help you in all your performances. You got anything there? Yeah.
Are you shocked?
I'm full of ramen, so I'm processing. No, I'm good. I'm just happy to be here.
Why don't we actually give them some real tools instead of the metaphysical, for each style, like some real things to take home. For like improv style, you are immediately going to run into if you're on the DM side, the NPC. Oh my God, I just got put on the spot. Am I really going to call this guy Steve one more time?
Yeah.
There are so many good tools you can have by the side of you. DMheroes.com is one of my favorite ones because it pulls up a couple of traits and a name underneath different D&D ancestries and builds. So it gives you something to grab off of. So for me, that's like an improv card. So I will either fire that thing off live and just be like, hit the rando button, let me see what I get. Or I'll write down a couple of them so I have a pocket NPC ready to go. Especially if I don't have emotional attachment to it yet. Some NPCs you're going to build up and you're like, I know this person in and out and I'm ready to introduce them. Some of them builds that way, but for my style, I go to that DM Heroes or Fantasy Name Generator. I have that sucker up for me all the time, and it may not be the exact thing that I see there, but it's going to trigger something in my mind to pull. And I'm going to give you an example. I needed the name of a town for frost giants and something in a land of ice. And I didn't want to just be generic with it, and I wanted something that sounded new. So what did I do? I pulled up the Fantasy Name Generator, and I saw some Scandinavian there. It made me trigger in my head. My buddy is a brewer that uses a yeast from Norway called Kvaik. I grew up in Southeast Missouri being a St. Louis Hockey's Blues fan. So ice to me reminded me of the Kiel Center that I grew up in. So that town on the spot became Kiel Kvaik for me. So it's something that meant that to me and sounded like the part. So a lot of times it's just trying to trigger things in your brain. You know how it works. Whatever that is in your brain to make those things fire off means the world of difference.
Yeah. Just on that same note, like I also deal with NPC brain sometimes when I'm running an actual play or something like that. And like, for example, I popped in and I was running some AP and I needed to name 2 kobold children. This is part of Forgotten Paths, by the way. And so I looked around my desk, and this has become my thing. I just look around my desk for words, and whatever I settle on, I remove some letters and add some letters. So those 2 kids became Posta and Gage, because there was a postage stamp next to me.
Yes.
And that's just, you look up, down, and sideways for inspiration. Just
Mine
because,
come from cough drops. It was Hall's cheer. It's on my desk in front of me.
the key is when you are doing that kind of performance, when you are handed an opportunity from somebody else that you're performing with, if you have that moment of frozen, like, oh God, I don't have a name for this NPC. Oh God, I don't know how to say yes and here. The key, and the hardest thing in the world, is to tell you not to freeze when you are freezing. But the key is to have a way preset. How am I going to get out of it if I freeze on something? That way you know what your escape hatch is. And that allows you to continue everything without interrupting.
Something that feels important is to consider, why are the tools in your toolbox there? Are they there because they are things that you're familiar with and they're convenient? Are they there because they have been useful to you? If you have the ability and you're interested in dialects and voices, classes, and that's why I also said if you have the ability, because classes come in a variety of different ways. They can be expensive. If you are trying to utilize a dialect in a performance or something, listening to native speakers. And that can be something as simple as like putting on news from a region. Even if you're not fully understanding what's happening, you're hearing how the people speak. And when you hear a couple of different people speak, you might start to pick up on some mannerisms or like inflections or things like that. And also noting, why is a voice that you're adding to a character important to the performance of this character? Is it important? Because something else that's very important when it comes to performance, especially if you are performing as a character that is speaking differently than you are, is it value add? Is it related to the character? Or is this potentially unintentionally a stereotype? Because also with a lot of performances, we get into stereotyping, especially if we think of like people who do a British accent. There is the Cockney accent. There is posh. And if you know British people, generally, 90% of them don't speak like that. And if you do that kind of performance, it may be comical and funny. In that sense, unintentionally, it's a stereotype. And the people around you who that is not a part of their life might find it funny. The people who that is their life, that is the way they speak, might see that and be like, oh, I hate this. Yeah. And like, you have to have the awareness that that could be the case. Is the way that I'm performing this character actually important? And is this in my toolbox because it's the right tool for the job? Or it's just one that I know I have and I don't want to find another one? Like the idea of like, I don't have pliers, so I'm going to use clamps or scissors. It ends badly. Sometimes you bleed. Doesn't end well. I'm not saying, look, I heal very fast, and I've discovered that over mistakes as a child.
I would kind of piggyback on that a little bit. Is when you're building out your toolbox, make sure that you examine why something's in there to a certain extent, but also make sure that you do your research and don't just assume, like, hey, this. I saw somebody else do this. I can do it. Let's add it to the toolbox. Because you can't assume that other people know any of the repercussions or consequences or have done their research. It's one of those things where, like, for example, in Forgotten Paths, there's a particular item that they found that I just thought, hey, the publishers of D&D, which in hindsight, this is real dumb. D&D, Wizards of the Coast, they probably did their research. They're not going to put anything offensive in the game, right? Right?
Oh, sorry. I just realized what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is recorded, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
I have
recorded.
no opinions on this.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so I went and I checked, and I actually got a DM from one of our listeners, and they said, hey, this is not widely known because this is such a core part of this thing in D&D. And just so you guys know, it's the use of the term phylactery with liches. Yep.
I've thought about this a lot.
Yep. And I was like, oh, I had no idea because apparently, and I don't want to mess this up, but do your research on what a phylactery is, where the terminology comes from. But it's of religious significance in the Jewish faith, with certain aspects of the Jewish faith. So I actually called up a local professor of religion and said, hey, tell me more about this. And they said, okay, well, this is what this is. I'm like, so if this is used as like a mega evil wizard's way of prolonging their life, that's bad, right? And they were like, oh, God. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that's not in the toolbox anymore. So don't make assumptions just because somebody did something and you saw it and you thought it'd be cool. Even if it's somebody famous or somebody that you respect, because you need to make sure that you're curating your own stuff. Because at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own
I'm
performances.
actually going to write that down because I don't know that.
Oh, we were talking about how also, like, technically the word golem, like the use of that is the Jewish faith, but now it represents, like, it's a monster made of rock that kills people. And that's not what they were originally represented as.
Let's not even get into, like, goblins.
No.
We're not even going to get into goblins. We're not going to do it.
Yeah,
Look, I know why you guys are here. That's another panel.
TLDR, the performance, like, that's a big one. When you are performing, don't do a stereotype, especially if it's not a stereotype that is part of your identity. Yeah. There's a difference in reclamation versus representing people that are not you, because that's mockery. And if you're native to Maryland or at all of this tri-state area, mocking people in a convention center is a bad idea. But stuff happens on the streets when people are mocking something.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
There was a very interesting experience where, like, someone was like, ha 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 ha. They were doing something dumb in Philadelphia. They're fine, but like they don't do it.
Philly?
Yeah, I'm aware.
They healed.
I'm aware.
It's a low level of self-awareness.
Oh, I'm aware. Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we have time for questions. So I have the mic that you should use for questions, which is probably a good thing because I can project. So if you have questions, please line up in the middle here. And don't be shy because this is a performance panel. So the first one comes and gets the mic because that means you get to go first.
God, this is the most polite somebody.
Stop being polite. Come get the mic.
The most
Get
polite
outta
somebody wearing a feral tank top has ever been. Love it. So happy.
Awesome. Hi, guys.
Hello.
So I'm an online strength coach, and every day when I
shows.
check... What's that? Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Shucks.
Swap it.
But when I check in with my clients, I basically make a video, about a 5-10 minute video, and I have over 70 clients.
Hell yeah.
And I get so damn tired after like the first 15. And how do you guys deal with performance fatigue, if you want to call it that?
That's it.
Okay, cool. Well, then that's my question. How do y'all deal with that?
Especially something like that, batches or like, because if you need more time for something, and the people want you for your work, reasonably they'll wait. It's the difference of someone being like, oh, they're putting me off, versus like, oh, I have 70 clients. I mentally need 2 weeks for this. If there's a performance that someone's like, Gabe, I have a thing that I want to do next week, I'm like, I need to sleep for the entirety of this week, but I can maybe do this next week.
Look, I'm really booked with sleeping right now.
Exactly. And it's an important distinction. If someone wants to work with you versus the idea of you, they will make time.
Yeah.
If there's like, you bring something to the table that they really need, that value of like, this is the time that they need, and I want to make it work with them, I will. Like, say, there was a thing that Sam and I were doing, like, Sam, I'm out for like a month and a half because I need to pay my bills. And like, Sam was like, okay.
Yeah, I said, that's
Yep.
okay. Let me know what you
But
can
you
do.
have to set the expectation.
Yeah.
If you go and put yourself in that uncomfortable position, that's not your client's fault. That's your own fault for being unself-aware of what you can accomplish. But it's okay. If you find that out, you just professionally walk it back and be like, this is what I'm capable
Boundaries.
of, and set that boundary and expectation. We have a good friend that makes content over in the UK for a game that releases information at a bad time for him. He sets the expectation for his audience of when his videos are going to drop, so it does not ruin his life and the way that he lives it. Otherwise, it becomes unsustainable.
I would also say, like, take some time and communicate. So I had a situation where we were creating this content. It was like killing us to create this content for our Patreon group, but like, you know, there are patrons, there are clients. So it's like we're trying to make sure take the time, really talk with your clients and make sure it's something that they really want. Because sometimes that is something where, you know, if you say, hey, this is how much energy and time it takes to go into these, like obviously this is the 5-minute video, but there's this much that goes into it. And is that a value add to you? And also, if you have that type of relationship with your clients, be like, what could be a value add? Hopefully when you bring some different suggestions, because that makes it easier for everybody. But I really think that also, you know, especially when it comes to scaling, that doesn't sound scalable to me. But you could hire stunt doubles, sexy stunt doubles, and
Feral stunt doubles.
Outsource it to Cameo.
Yes.
You do like Paul Rudd.
Yeah, so let me make that clear. That would be my number one option. But number two is ask and try to make sure that you get that. Make sure that is what they want.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Sorry.
Gabe's sleeping, so.
Hit me up next week, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so
Good
much.
question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, gang. So I'm starting up a lore podcast with a buddy of mine, and I've got a pretty strong.
You have a great voice for that, by
Yeah,
the way.
thank
you.
This is excellent. Keep talking.
I have
on the
a
right foot.
Yeah.
I have a strong like acting background. You know, grew up doing it all that. My parents met at acting camp, so it's like all that crazy shit.
Classic.
So my friend is like a diamond in the rough. Like I found a gem here in terms of like raw talent. The problem is they're feeling a little intimidated because like they're coming into this, it's just the two of us, and like the way that we're doing this podcast is first 30 minutes they're doing like the info dump. They're dumping all the history, the lore, the good juicy bits, and then the last 30 minutes I'm coming in English degree. All right, here's our media literacy for like what's going on in this. The problem that we're hitting into is they're feeling, again, like I said, kind of intimidated. Kind of like, okay, well, you know, what do I do beyond just that? And they're usually a very jokey, happy person. So I'm trying to like figure out how do I get my buddy to like, you know, hey, take a chill pill. Let's make some dick jokes, you know?
How many episodes are you in?
We are 3 in. We want to get like a batch of 8 done before we start like editing and shit.
Nobody's going to be comfortable on episode 3.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
back and watch my 3rd episode. Yeah, dude, there times reps on that. Like that's going to come over time, especially. But if you got to find out, like that's up to them. What is the hindrance in the performance? What's the anxiety level in them that's causing that? They're going to have to work that out on their own. You can't lead that horse to water. You just have to support them and their journey and their anxiety, because it's going to be completely different from yours and what you think in your head. But those reps are going to help over time regardless.
Yeah.
But you know, find out what mental state they need to get into. What's their flow state?
I would also add 2 things. One is that you cannot lead that horse to water, so to speak, but also to a certain extent you shouldn't, because they might be communicating a boundary. And so you should make sure you listen to that and have that open conversation with them about that. Make sure that's something they are comfortable with. They might feel very comfortable in their lane, and they might want to stay in that. And pulling them out of that lane might not be something that is conducive to a good working relationship. The other thing I do want to add is...
I'm keeping track. You said two things.
Yeah.
Audience visually.
That was one thing.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is... I'll be honest, I want to hear Taffy's opinion on this one, because Taffy recorded an actual play D&D with me, D&D show with me, and Taffy's not used to playing D&D, and I definitely pulled him out of his comfort zone.
I've been launched into all sorts of like crazy out of my comfort zone things over the years. So like, they're right. Thank you, Ten. They're right that you can't get this person to do anything they don't want to. I would branch off a little bit and say that you can test the waters, because they may just not know that exists within them. I don't know if it's a great idea, but like as an exercise, sort of doing like a fuck around rehearsal recording where you have a couple of whiskeys and get a little twisted and fuck around, and then you set them side by side, and like you don't nitpick them and go like, see how you're tense and shitty here and awesome and drunk here, but like you put them side by side. I had some really cruel acting professors over the years. I don't pull a lot of punches anymore. Like if I suck, tell me I suck. But like getting into a place you're going like, frame it by saying there are products out there where this is kind of what our goal is to be this kind of comfortable.
Get the Ghiblis out.
See how we're just dicking around here. It can be just dicking around, but just a little more formal here, and sort of marrying these two could be a thing that we're aiming for. But it's like they said, if that person doesn't want to go there, you're not going to be able to drag them there.
Yeah.
So. But you can try stuff.
Hopefully what you're taking away from this is formal dicking.
Formal dickage. Yeah, love the formal dickage. Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
So I've been a Twitch streamer for about like 3 years now, and I'm a VTuber, and so right now, like, and yeah, mostly I just do it for fun and just to play the games that I want to play and stuff. But like though, something that I've been like, I guess like maybe like struggling with is like there's a bit of a contrast between like my aesthetic and also my like my voice and stuff. Like I like very cute stuff, like very cute kawaii, like cutesy stuff. Like I mean,
It shows.
You have my business card right there.
Yeah,
like,
I do.
So you have my. It's a little,
If anybody wants the last 2 hotel mints and sees the business card, you can take pictures.
The last one hotel mint.
Yeah, one.
Yeah, like very cutesy and stuff, but I also have a pretty deep voice, like at times, like, and so I can't like keep doing like a pika pika.
Right.
Like I mean, I could do the occasional
Yeah.
but yeah, like that's and yeah, like I guess the other like. There's a question in there somewhere.
No,
you're doing great.
It's
But
your question. Let me see if I have it for you, and then you can just say, yeah, we've got it or not. Your question is, so you have your character that you perform. You've been doing Twitch for fun, which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
like
love
this
that.
does not have to be. Do not go into it and say like I want to make money, because anyone up here will tell you that's you.
Baby Sam, still waiting.
I got a
You got
panel.
this.
I got a panel on Sunday where I will crush your dreams if you want to try to make it as I will shit all over you on Sunday if you want to come to that panel.
Like it'd be nice if you can get some money from it, but
No.
Oh, okay. So
anyway.
So your question is, hey, I've got this really cute character that really gets to me, but there's an expectation, and my voice does not quite meet the expectation of the content that I'm creating, and how do I either move more towards the voice that I want to be, or how do I, like, am I comfortable with my voice currently in that space? Is that kind of what you're getting at? So,
something like that. Like right now, I sort of like market myself towards like Gap Moe or something like that. Like just like a bit of a like to sort of try to embracing the contrast between my more masculine voice, but my cute
Do you?
guitar.
yeah.
You is enough.
You is enough. I promise you.
There is no standard that you have to meet because you get to decide what your standard is, and then the people who come and stay for you and what you put out, those are going to be the ones who are the most genuinely excited, regardless of whether it is the voice that is more of what like you might feel is the natural cute. Because if people stay and like your voice and they think it's cute regardless, like that's the exciting thing. That's the fun part.
My stream was hot garbage until I kind of embraced who I was, and I did a lot of performative stuff mine was like rage bait stuff. So it was like I would play Call of Duty and I was the guy who'd launch a controller against a wall and like that kind of stuff, because that's what I thought people wanted to see. And now I've got like one of the most chill and inclusive, like the harmonious communities on the entire platform, and it all has come from a place of kind of embracing my vulnerabilities and embracing the imperfections and gleefully marching them out to display like little Fabergé eggs. And the things that I thought that would like destroy me are the things that people gravitate towards because they see the sincerity and the genuine nature of when you open yourself up. Right. That's hard.
I will also say, if you want to do a voice, I have a lot of friends who in their life have wanted to practice having different voices. I will say that one of the safest places to do that is around a tabletop table with your friends or any type of improv space with your friends, and try on the voices that you want to try on and see what fits and what's comfortable, and then it goes back to practice, and that means for me singing to my cats, but it can mean anything for you. Like, find that inclusive space and practice the voice. If you do want a new voice, practice the voice until you're very comfortable with it.
And yeah, I guess just quick little thing is that I think like I also like kind of wanted to trying to like sort of like I guess I'm trying to like figure out like my little niche or like what my gags are, like, 'cause like whenever I look at my stuff I'm like I don't know what memes there are in my community, if there are any. other than me just being
your niche is you. Your niche is you, man. Look, I'm sitting here with a captain's hat, you got a Pikachu hat on, you're talking about what you love. That is your niche. Be authentically you.
I will say, just to chime in, is that I think we've hit some of the things that might help here, but I would also encourage you to come to the panel we have on Saturday called Twitch Creator Camp. It's going to be in panels 3, so across the hallway.
That one I'm not shitting on you.
Yeah, that one
I'm nice.
Very nice. But we actually talked a little bit about like finding your niche and finding that kind of stuff.
We got 4 more minutes. Let's get these in. Okay. Rapid fire, baby.
Well,
thank you so much for your question.
Thank you so much, dude.
Let's go.
What's up?
Hey,
man.
This is unrelated to gaming. I'm about to go to community college for theater.
Nice.
And I was wondering, what's the next step after graduating to get on the stage? Besides the obvious audition.
Getting comfortable with rejection.
Honestly.
Well, also taking classes is a good way to meet people who have the ability to put you on stages.
It's like not a whole lot different from Twitch.
And if you do well in a class, you're more likely to be recommended by the people teaching the classes.
And also, be willing to take the roles that are offered. Sometimes it's not right and you got to turn it down. But if you can work with something and it's not the lead, be comfortable taking that so you get the on-stage experience and meet some people that way too.
That also coincides. Yeah, that coincides also with, like, if you want to do tabletop and stuff, people are always putting out castings. A lot of times it is free work.
Yeah.
It is okay to accept it if you are comfortable accepting free work. 99% of my stuff is free work, and that's how I've been able to get on more stages. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
Hello.
Love your outfit, by the way.
Hello. So definitely like kind of a follow-up to the question that he had with, I know you can't really push someone into being comfortable performing in a group, but with people who are sort of newer to, say, a tabletop group, or if you're performing with someone on stage who's newer, more green, outside of just creating like a welcoming atmosphere for them to really bloom in, is there any advice that you would give to anybody to kind of help them
encourage
open
questions
up? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I was just going to say that, like, so I run regularly with voice actors who have never played tabletop before, and the first question that they ask me pre-panel is always, hey, I've never done this before, is that going to be a problem? And it's absolutely not. The people who've never done it before are the greatest performers because they're not thinking within the parameters of what the heck this thing is supposed to be, which is brilliant. The audience connects with that. So I think the big is just like being enthusiastic about their not knowledge and being like, you're perfect. Whatever you do is perfect, and trying to encourage that very open space I always say, don't ask me if you can do something. Tell me what you want to do.
I'll also say that I'm a new tabletop gamer relative to what most people up here have going on. Lead by example. I would feel myself button up and be pinned up, and then I'd see somebody do something that was batshit crazy, that was like out there, like full send, and I'd be like, oh, now I feel compelled to like match that energy. Like that's happened to me recently, where I was shown something that was like a piece of actor homework for a role in a D&D thing, and I was supposed to be doing the same thing, and I had like a paragraph, and it's like, oh yeah, this person sent me 3.5 pages, and I was like, well, I'll send you 4. But like it could just be like show them what is possible. It may not be the first session that you get them, but they'll see that you're within the confines of what's okay. Go full send.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads by example.
Quick rapid fire because time is up, so we'll do one word answers. Go ahead.
Okay, hi, I am Rudy.
Hi, Rudy.
Hi. So the dude with the Pikachu hat kind of inspired me to ask a question.
Hell yeah.
Look at you, being you.
So I'm a VTuber as well on Twitch. I've been streaming for 3 years, and now I'm at the point where I want to do something that works towards my goal, which is to be a voice actress, right? Cool. And like I could do voice impressions and stuff, but I know that's not what voice acting is really about. It's finding my own niche, finding my own talent. But like, how do I make that up? Like, how do I know when to shine? I don't know how to ask this question specifically, but I just want to know like what are the talents needed to be a voice actress? How do I like sign up for the gig? How do I like become who I want to be?
Oh, this is a long answer.
That might be like a meet us in the hallway kind of.
I can just quick answer.
No, you're good.
Handful of things. One, audio dramas are a really nice thing. Yes. There are audio dramas on like Spotify and such, and that is voice acting. One of the most important things about voice acting is acting. It doesn't have to be necessarily the character voices, but if you can project the emotion that matches what they want for a character, more often than not, people will change how someone sounds if they like the performance that you put on.
Okay.
And some of the ways that you can do that like what Sam was talking about, casting calls, there are like, if you look up voice acting casting calls, there's a dozen different websites. 9 times out of 10, it might not be for you, but if you try those 5 websites and one of them works, that is going to be one of the most foundational things, because if you're this website, I'm willing to put in the time and effort into it.
Right.
That's where you go into it. If you're making audio dramas of your own and people like that, the right person might hear that, and that's just like, I want them.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Versatility is overrated. Consistency and
professionalism.
And just like being flexible.
Yeah.
Okay.
And last question, last but not
Thank you.
No, thank you so much.
Thanks, Rudy.
Hi, I'm Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi. So I do work a full-time job, but I do like to stream on YouTube just like casually for fun, and I view them more as like comfort streams because I just mostly play video games and like to talk to people and like meet up and that kind of thing. So I can be kind of shy sometimes, and because I'm usually working a lot, I don't always have topics of engagement to have to talk to people and keep them in the stream. Do you guys have any sort of suggestions of like, I don't know, make a list beforehand?
This one is mine. I have a 9 to 5, baby. I go from 9 to 5, then 5 to 9. So the way that you basically can set this up is don't overexert the energy that you no longer have. Put the energy into your 9 to 5, the one that gives you the salary. Make sure you do your job damn good.
Yeah.
And then after that, make sure your community knows. Be like, yo, I'm actually kind of tired today. And a lot of times they will match your energy and then help elevate it. Because they'll be like, yo, Sam, what'd you do today? And I was like, well, I was doing this. I can't tell you too much. And they're like, well, why not? And they'll just keep it going. And eventually it'll help lead that up to that comfortability where they both understand where to meet you at those moments of like, I'm really tired. I kind of don't want to be here. And then sometimes they'll be like, yo, we support you. Go to bed.
That's actually a really good point. I do work as a nurse, so there's times I work long hours.
The other thing too, people love authentic enthusiasm.
Yes.
If you have anything that you authentically are very enthusiastic about, no matter what it is, people will want to hear you talk about it, even if they do not care. I listen to the worst music in the world, but people love listening to me talk about it because it's compelling.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll start something with like, hey, nobody cares about this, but I'm going to tell you anyway because I want to talk about it. And they're like, I didn't realize what that. I'm so excited now.
Well, yeah, and it's actually quite surprising as a nurse. A lot of people ask, "Can you give me a good nursing story?" So,
Those are probably really fun.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
You in the backwards hat. You long hair. You had a question. What was your question? Cool.
Thank you guys.